Thank you for your patience and welcome to your full spoiler review for The First Omen. That thing I do where I watch movies before they're technically released and I tell you all about them. As always, I am both unpaid and unsponsored. And tonight, pretty fucking scared. And as always, full spoilers. Full spoilers. I can't tell you enough that this is full spoilers. So if you plan on seeing this and you don't want spoilers, which it's full of, scroll away now. I won't be offended. Scroll. Okay, let's go. Y'all, oh my god. First and foremost, I do want to address something. I do in fact find it weird that all the other Omen movies were basically about, secular families, birthing the Antichrist, and then this one just so happens to take place in a convent with a nun. And then you have a movie last week that Sydney Sweeney basically bankrolled for about 10 years that also involved a nun giving birth in a convent. By now, we're all aware of that fact, so we are acknowledging and we are moving on. So what is the first omen about? And how the hell do we get a first omen? So Margaret grew up in a Catholic orphanage where she was like seeing shit and then they were convincing her that everything she was seeing wasn't fucking real. But then she grows up to want to take her vows in the church. She wants to be a nun. Right now she's something called a novitiate, which is like a nun in training. So she is invited to be a nun in Italy by the bishop that was at the church/orphanage she grew up in. And that's where she's supposed to take her vows and become a nun. But there's a little girl there they keep alienated and she's trying to comfort her because, empathy. And then another priest comes out of fucking nowhere and it's like, hey, that might be the Antichrist. And she's like, what? And he's like, yeah, there is a subsection of the Catholic Church that is worried about people straying away from the church. So they want to birth the Antichrist that they think they can control to scare people back into the church. It's like satanic panic, but with extra steps. Now, all of this is starting to give Margaret visions again. And I have to tell y'all this because I nearly pissed myself laughing. Are you ready for this? You need to be sitting down. Part of this convent is a labor and delivery center. That means they help birth babies. They got whole rooms for birthing, right? So there's this lady giving birth. And at first I was like, no, they're not going to show anything. I don't think they're going to show anything. And there's little hints of majestic sea flaps. And then there's flashes and it looks like she's crowned. I was like, no fucking way. But then I think they did that and knocked up. So I was like, okay, whatever. And then Satan's arm comes out of her vagina. Great big, long, crusty fingernails and a Satan arm right out of her cooter. Like, hi, want to arm wrestle? Rock, paper, scissors? Just wanted to wave hi at you. And then there's some other stuff that happened, including her getting locked in this room. And then something really scary was going on in the dark, but I legitimately had to close my eyes. But I know there was something fucking scary there because I can hear like that slimy noise. And then a girl a couple of rows back from me, she said, oh, hell no. And I'm like, yep, And so Margaret goes snooping. And come to find out, bringing back Satan requires the patriarchy. And here's why. So according to this movie, the Antichrist can only be a man. Bear with me here. So there has to be a willing woman to put a bag over her face so that she can get wienered by the devil. And this happens a few times, but every time she gets pregnant, it's like dead and malformed. Except twice technically. But they were both girls. So they theorized that a human woman is not strong enough to bear the Antichrist. Instead, it has to be the descendant of the devil. So the devil has to have sex with his own daughter in order to produce a male Antichrist. And then pretty much the rest of it is just how the actual Antichrist got to switch places with the boy and became Damien and whatnot. So it does in fact address the 1976 Omen. I do have a couple of questions in terms of convenience though. Like she went snooping while they were doing the confirmation or something by one of the nuns, right? And like she was in the cathedral or whatever during the confirmation, and they were still in the confirmation when she went snooping in the office, and I don't know how she got away without anybody seeing it. There was another one, but I forgot it. But let me tell you about the best parts besides the devil vagina, because that's my favorite thing in a horror movie now. These hands can brush your teeth and comb your hair, throw a ball in. I'm sorry, I'll stop now. But anyways, there's a nun. She's just like standing on the stairs, walking down, and somehow there's like a breeze in the hallway. It's like her own personal breeze fan or whatever. I was like, oh, that is convenient. It's like a shampoo commercial. And then there's this guy who gets hit by a truck and pinned to a wall, and it's kind of like M. Night Shyamalan and Signs, where like the truck's the only thing that's keeping him alive. Well, she's kind of holding him, saying it's gonna be all right, it's gonna be all right, and she thinks she like managed to get him unstuck. Instead, it's only his top half. And so she pulls away and people are just staring at her and she's holding this man from like the waist up. This movie's fucking brilliant. There is an entire scene that looks like a true fucking exorcism. You ever see The Exorcism of Emily Rose where she's in the barn and doing like back bends and shit? It's not quite back bends, but it's got that same feel, like, whoo. Which leads me to this. I need 20th Century Studios and the director or whoever needs to do this needs to start fucking campaigning this for cinematography award season. Or award season for cinematography is what I'm saying. I think this might be one of the few times you would see horror win in a major category. If nothing else, absolutely cinematography, because some of these shots were fucking insane. Also, let me tell you about the fucking end, right? So the credits start rolling and everything. It's got that scary Omen music, and I'm trying to like dig my keys out of my fucking purse, and I'm the last person out of the theater, and I had to take off fucking running down that little hallway. How the hell am I supposed to outrun the devil in Crocs? And then I made my sister stay on the phone with me the whole ride home. Anyways, this should win the award for cinematography for award season, and I 1010% recommend this movie, absolutely. 10 out of 10. I don't know if I want to give it like a perfect film award, but in terms of horror, I'm going to give it to it. Okay, bye. I want to hold your hand. I want to hold your hand. I want to hold your hand.